To say it's been a crazy few years for the American job market would be a bit of an understatement, with mass layoffs and then that so-called great resignation rocking industry after industry. The pandemic was the beginning of many of these changes, and the economic downturn and even the work ethic of younger generations has taken much of the blame. But one local professor is pointing the finger at employers in her new book, The Case for Good Jobs: How Great Companies Bring Dignity, Pay, and Meaning to Everyone's Work. MIT professor of operations management Zeynep Ton looks at how employers treat and pay their workers. She joins me now. What perfect timing to be talking about this. Welcome.
Thank you.
So it's not just about the pay, but talk a little bit about how you sort of infiltrated as a worker and as someone looking for work, how companies, especially retail operations, were managing people, and what you learned.
Yeah, so most leaders want to win, right? And they know that winning requires a great team that's set up to succeed. But what I've learned working with so many companies, analyzing them, is that so many leaders, especially in settings like retail and services, they think that they can't afford to pay their employees enough to be able to create that team. So what I have found in my research, and lately with Good Jobs Institute, the nonprofit that I started in 2017, is that low pay is actually very expensive for companies, a lot more than leaders might assume.
Why do they think that, though? I mean, why do they think it's a good idea or efficient or good for their bottom line to pay someone the least amount possible, not have flexible work hours, not be able to accommodate the stuff that happens to all of us in life, and then just go through trying to replace them, which in this market and in prior markets, it's too hard to do? Why do they think it's a good idea?
That's a great question. Turnover is so expensive. Why on earth would they be operating that way? Because for decades, business leaders have been taught that labor is just another cost. Market pay is the right pay, even if it's not a living wage. Lean and mean is what drives efficiency. And this type of mindset prevents them from even imagining operating any other way. But what I show in the book is that turnover is really expensive. There are direct costs associated with turnover, but then there are all sorts of costs related to lost sales, higher waste, low productivity. And when you operate with high turnover, there are some good management practices that you just can't execute, and you can't serve the customers well. How many restaurants, how many retail stores have we seen with the close signs? Right? That's lost sales right there.
You make a point, I believe in the book, at least in the article that Caramilla did in the Boston Globe, about being on the retail floor and seeing that the product is not out on the rack, it's in the back, because there weren't enough workers. And that sort of extrapolates to other industries, right?
Yeah, I came across this problem about bad jobs. I'm an operations professor, so I didn't start out looking at jobs, and I was looking at retail supply chains. And what I found was one of the biggest problems in retail supply chains was the last 10 yards of the supply chain where retailers dropped the ball. Products will be misplaced in the back room, not on the selling floor. Inventory data will be inaccurate. And one of the biggest reasons was low investment in people. Stores didn't have enough people, or they weren't experienced. They were making mistakes all the time. Again, and this happens over and over again in so many different industries. It's not just retail. Any industry that operates with high turnover have these problems. They won't be lost sales, but they will be mistakes in a hospital. They could be lost lives in a healthcare setting. So yes, this happens anywhere where we experience high turnover.
So I can already hear someone at home thinking, well, if the CEOs just took a little bit of the money that they were making and put it back into the operation of their businesses by way of paying the employees more and investing in training for the employees, this problem would be solved. So why aren't they doing that?
I think the CEOs should look at what their low-wage workers are making and compare that to the living wage in their area and see, are they able to live? Right? What can we do to make their work better? And it's not just because you want to treat people right, you have to treat people right, because you need good employees. You need a good team to be able to succeed. So I think CEOs should look at their workforce, look at their job design, and see what can we do to be able to create that winning team.
So I have heard more than one CEO or boss or small business owner, when they're hiring someone, even if they're hiring someone to work on their household staff, say something like, well, we all have to agree not to pay more than this, because it will ruin the hiring market, right? If we pay this person $15 instead of 10, or this person $30 instead of 25, it'll put the whole thing out of whack. Is it wrong? I mean, shouldn't it just all be out of whack? Shouldn't somebody just say we're going to pay that amount?
Look, I think fairness and compression are real issues in so many companies. That's a fact. However, the good companies that I have studied, like Costco, like H-E-B, they look at their workforce and let's say, what is the highest that we can pay? And while making a profit and offering our customers the best prices. So the mentality should be, what is the highest we can pay to get the right team to be able to serve customers better? And how do we create fairness in our organization?
So I'm a small business owner. I used to have a staff. I don't have a staff anymore. But when I had a staff, I used to use what I called the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek model, right? So when you watch a Star Trek episode on the bridge, every officer on the bridge can at least do the minimum requirement of every other position on the bridge. So the therapist can fly the ship. The engineer can fire the weapons. You make a point like that it should be important for employers to invest in employees being able to do more than just their job.
Yes, and part of my good job strategy is investing in people, higher pay, etc. But the other part, the secret sauce actually, is to increase the productivity of workers by cross-training them, by empowering them, by simplifying their work. And one of my favorite examples of this from a recent small business example, you mentioned you're thinking about a small business, is Moe's Original Barbecue in Maine. Is the owner of 2 stores, and he was able to make huge pay investments, which were scary, but he also cross-trained employees. He also simplified menu. He also did so many other things, and now that pay raise is an investment with a significant return for his small business, and his employees' lives changed, and the owner's life changed too, because he doesn't have to work 60 hours a week anymore.
What about some of the other benefits? My company, I also work for NBC Universal. They have pet bereavement time. I recently lost a pet. I had mocked the pet bereavement time, and then I used it this week. Those kind of benefits, plus my free coffee I get every morning, they mean something to me. Is that also part of the good job strategy?
Of course, it is part of the good job strategy, but for workers who don't make a living wage, if they can't put food on the table and a roof over their heads, benefits like discounts on coffee or pizza parties, they're just a Band-Aid on a wound.
What are employers, what are CEOs saying to you about your book and about your work?
So after my first book came out, so many company leaders came out and said, we want to do this, but we're scared. We have doubts. How do we start? Where do we start? What change do we make first? So this book is on why you should do this, how to do it, and the tools to get started.
Who should we be looking at? What companies are leading?
In the change efforts, or the companies that have always been leading are companies like Costco, Quick Trip, and Progressive Insurance, Four Seasons Hotels in a wide range of industries. Recently, there are companies ranging from $60 billion retailer Sam's Club to Moe's Original Barbecue that I talk about in the book, and call centers at Quest Diagnostics.
Zainab, it's a fascinating read. I really enjoyed you coming in and talking with us, and I hope you get to revolutionize the way we pay workers. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.